Well,
You want one, John?
Dennis? John?
Nice to meet you.
William?
Delighted to meet you. How are you?
How did you set off this morning, Dennis?
I think I left about 4 to 6.
A quarter of waste tips in England have been closed since the beginning of the year as private owners rush to avoid tighter pollution controls. This year, we've got the panacea for that ailment. That's just one facet of what we intend to do on site. What I want to say, John, you're a businessman and you're also the chairman of this tech. I am telling you, if you don't grab what we're offering now, you will ruin. You will ruin.
You'll be drummed out of the UDM.
No, I've lived with.
I was a member.
John, I've lived with this now for months and months. There is no other show in town, and this county has got an opportunity to become the centre of the UK stroke Europe stroke global operations of Vista UDM. I met Jim, as you know, recently to push by him what Vista was about, what Vista UDM was about, and why it came about, and where we feel that we've got something that is unique. The problem stems back from last October, the announcements of the closures of the mines, and particularly the mine sites in Nottinghamshire, which is a disaster. Now, our thinking was that with this total infrastructure, it would be a nonsense to get rid of it. Why don't we have recycling partners that are green, environmentally friendly?
We have a business which is called Vista UDM, which we see as a holding company. This is what we'll be saying to British Coal. Allow us to take 2 pits, and in 3 months we'll have 350 men working at each one on this type of operation.
There is nothing there for those men unless we can get this off the ground.
My first reaction is very exciting. Jim had told me, hey, you won't believe this, it's exciting. And I could see the excitement in your face every time you open your mouth.
The thing was, I took these two to see Kenneth Clark, and his reaction, identical to yours.
Yeah.
This is exciting. He said to me, you give them every facility possible to lead them through the various government departments, to put flesh on the bones, to make it a goable, possible activity.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
we're three-quarters of the way down that route.
You're creating employment, that's our prime objective. You're stimulating enterprise, which is a very major ambition of ours in the local community. So, I mean, we'll support you all we can.
Yes, it sounds a very exciting start
You've had an
to a long
interesting
road,
morning.
eh?
Yeah.
Thank you, David. And don't
We're
stop
moving
that
on.
enthusiasm, eh?
Yeah.
Country needs you and your union
It's
do.
going to work.
Nice to see you. Yes, thank you very much. No, I'm always on time. Another thing that generally raises a laugh, you can turn domestic waste into cat litter. So in searching around, we came across a system which was designed by a man called Professor Biet. It takes domestic waste, and what comes out at the other end is basically gravel. And what we decided to do was that, apart from getting the rights to use the machine over here, we would attempt to get the rights to manufacture the equipment. What we must do as partners of the UDM is not only find work out on the mine sites, but we must endeavour to maintain the work level at Bestwood, and that's why we have in fact gone out, secured the rights to manufacture this. 50 plants per year minimum. A plant will cost about £5 to £6 million. So if we can successfully get this work into this factory, you're talking about a colossal workload.
Wherever there is a garbalizer, wherever there is a BX system, wherever BMW and the other motor manufacturers go, you build it. You are the key to what we're doing.
is Bestwood offered for sale at the moment? Or
Nobody's actually mentioned the fact that
nobody's
behind
actually,
these pits...
all we know at the moment is the
Nobody's
fact that we will be
are
building the
being
machinery.
No,
Well, this is not...
I tried to explain to you in the other meeting whether Bestwood is sold off to a private individual or a management buyer. We want to buy Bestwood. But we will not buy Bestwood until we've got at least 2 mine sites. Then we would try, because if you haven't got a mine site, we can't put the plant on. So we can't get you to build the plant. If we can get the mine sites through the sales procedure, we're going to go after Bestwood. Make no bones about it. We've told
Nobody's mentioned that.
British Coal, but until we get a mine site, it's pointless.
Is Bestwood up for sale at the moment?
Bestwood, I mean, I can't answer that, but we will be knocking on the door to British Coal once we've acquired the two.
I think if I fill out what David is saying, I think, quite frankly, obviously, the assets of British Coal eventually, all those assets will go up for sale through privatisation.
Yeah, but that might not be this year, will it?
No, but let us point something out to you that when in fact the opportunity to purchase comes up, if in fact we've got 10, 15, 20 million pounds of the work in there, we are obviously the front runners to buy that property.
Very confusing.
Morning, Dennis.
Good morning.
Despite the campaigns and the reprieve given to some pits, the prospects today look bleaker than ever. More pit closures are expected over the next few months. Have your say after the report by our industry correspondent, John Brain.
For some collieries, it's already too late. No private operator is interested in Silver Hill Pit in Nottinghamshire, but a group of businessmen, in partnership with the UDM, want the site to build a plant which will recycle old cars. But as we prepared to film an interview, a local resident approached.
Disgusting. Bringing this to us without even asking us.
No, it's not that at all. We
don't want industry here. I've got dogs, sheep, 14 grandchildren, and you bring in a horror to us.
But we're not, you see.
You are.
How do you know?
We've read it. This is a residential area.
Well, at the moment, as I see it, it's a coal mine which is going to be made disused. There were a lot of men...
You don't live here, and you're not having it on your doorstep.
Well,
we will fight you all the way. We don't want it.
Since that meeting, we have had a meeting with Dennis Bull of Vista. He visited us up at Mr. Bennett's home. He told us a lot. I think he pulled the wool over his eyes, but one or two things that I think I ought to tell you. One of the important things is that UDM have a very small holding in the company, very, very small, he said, and also they have not bought into the company, they've been given shares into the company. So the impression I get is that when it comes to decision making, UDM won't be making any, it'll be the company itself.
Some of the points that Councillor Thorpe has read out in his letter are contrary to what he said to us at our meeting.
Forget all the argument about who's going to get jobs up here and what sort of jobs. Concentrate your minds on why this thing shouldn't be up here. It's a damned abomination, in my view. I shouldn't be saying that while these people are here, but that's the way I feel about it. At the end of the day, though, I and 16 of my colleagues have got to look for a justified planning reason to refuse an application.
Well, can I just bring you back? The original objections of this group were these. We objected because of increased road traffic, increased noise and pollution. It's straightforward, there's just 3 items.
UDM, North Section can help you.
I welcome the fact that we've now got a letter from the chairman of Vista, UDM Bull, for a further meeting with the executive, because it seems to me that it's Bull by name and Bull by nature. And the reason that you've got your share certificate in front of you this morning is because I'd said that I was going to come and recommend to this executive committee that we withdraw our facilities for Vista because of the attitude that's been adopted by them. Now, I'm not happy with what's going off with Dennis Bull. We've had talk right from day one that they were intent on getting hold of Bestwood. I'm now led to believe that's not the case, and I think the sooner he comes to an executive committee and explains the reasonings behind everything to us, the better off we're all going to be. Because I'd got an uneasy feeling that we'd done all the spade work, done all the donkey work, if you like, as far as getting government and British Coal involved in it, and then we're all going to be dumped.
The only thing I will say is, and I mentioned it to Neil earlier, Vista have never shown any intention to purchase Bestwood. What they want to do is put work through Bestwood. Part of the negotiating ploy was to convince British Coal is that they weren't a threat to purchase Bestwood, but to increase the workload at Bestwood, while Bestwood could also be a mine service centre.
I think if you recall back, we've had one or two conversations in here where the Bestwood people were getting rather irate because they weren't being included in the Vista thing. And Bull was asked a specific question, are you intent on going for Bestwood? And it's always been yes. That's one of our prime concerns, to get over to Bestwood and then retain the workforce there. Now that's changed, and I need to know why. Because I've been telling people, as president, that yes, we're going for Bestwood. And then all of a sudden it changes, and it makes me look a bloody village idiot then.
Well, I don't know where you've got that from. I'm not arguing on this camera, but you're certainly not, you're not right in that fact.
Well, we'll sort that out when we meet him.
The critical thing that we're missing is if Vista doesn't go ahead and Vista doesn't construct a 10-ton plant, there is no Bestwood workshop, whether it's owned by Bestwood or whoever. Bestwood's workload, which we'll discuss at the next item, is fast disappearing. And if we don't make a success of what we're attempting, there ain't a Bestwood.
What's worrying me at this moment in time is the people that we're going to bed with.
I don't know who you're getting into bed with on privatisation. I haven't got a clue. If anybody in the National Executive asks me who you're talking to, I couldn't say. Now, I'm trying to be open, fair and proper. I'm trying to talk, I'm flogging my bollocks off up and down this country, trying to be successful for this union. I'm trying to report back to this union. And I can't stand flag. Now, you can keep having late night phone calls, and I'll take so much, but I am sick and tired of being unfairly treated. This is not fair. I'm trying to be fair to you. I report back to you. I report back to Mick. I go to the branch. I talk to everybody. But there is a persuasion that all is not right. I am trying to be fair and proper and make this union a success and save jobs.
There's bound to be a persuasion that all's not right.
And I'm just getting into a situation where I'm reflecting on comments that were made a year ago, and a year and a half ago, and 2 years ago, how certain people operated, and I'm beginning to wonder what's going on. I didn't want to say that, but that's where we're at. I've tried to be upfront on everything that I've done.
Well, I'll tell you what's going off then. When you've got people that we're involved in that's going to determine whether we're a credible union or not, we want to know exactly where they stand.
Well, I don't know who you're talking to.
I'm going to come to that.
Yeah.
I'm going to come to that in a minute. You know exactly who I'm talking to, because them same people that I'm talking to have been to a national conference and explained to everybody in detail who we're talking to and why we're talking to them. And I'm not going to lose the credibility of this union for Dennis Bull and nobody else.
And I'd support you on that.
Everybody at this moment in time is wanting to talk to us. And our problem is that you get that involved in it, you tend to trust people, and it's something that we shouldn't allow ourselves to fall into. Because they're all wanting to use us, and one of the main reasons is that now it's got assisted area status around this region, you've got everybody under the bloody sun wanting to come in and have a joint venture with us. And if we're not careful, we're going to end up being used. I'll be straight up front and I'll be honest with you, I'm not too happy with what's going off with Vista at this moment in time. I don't like the people that's involved in it. I don't get on with the people that's involved in it, but I'm still attracted by the number of people that could be employed from it. And so I'm not particularly worried about who's running it. If it brings them that number of jobs in, 400 initially and 2,000 over 2 years, that's the attractiveness of Union being involved in it. But I gave them the facility or office in national offices, and after a fortnight I chucked them out. And that's because of the top people I'm talking about, the Bull and Spears. That's their attitude when it came across loud and clear that as far as they're concerned, they own the union. I also heard somebody say in an exec meeting that Bestwood have got the contracts for the BX machine, which is going to be the be-all and end-all of this recycling thing. So I asked Frost that the day I met him, and he said, "Oh, don't a bloody minute, don't get running away with that one, we ain't got no contract. We've set an office aside and we've put 3 people in to draw the plans up for it, and then we'll cost that out and then offer a contract to Vista for making it. But we've got nothing signed up, we've got no plans agreed at this moment in time to do it, they're just actually working on the plans. So people aren't being told the truth on what's going off.
What's your feelings about being at Canteen Cabin?
Well, obviously it's not the most pleasant of conditions to be told that you're not wanted. You're told there's no way you're going to get back on the shop floor, and at the first opportunity you'll be pushed out the gate.
We want some work. The work's gone. I'd like to know where the work's gone, because there isn't any.
We've got a good hiding place.
We're going to have 200 men sat in there after Christmas, I can tell you. There'll be 50 walking and 200 sat in there.
The same as I said to Garrod, mate, you know, who's responsible for getting the work in? That's not down to us, that's down to them. Now what we've got to do is keep some back sarge in that commercial office, or get somebody to keep some back sarge so they get off them and go out and get us the bloody wage.
I mean, there's lads on, you know, that's in here, they very often, they ask me point blank, you know, where do we stand with UDM Vista projects, you know, as of now. We're still in iffy-butty stages, I believe.
Well, we are. I mean, they've given, again, according to my information, we've got Silver Hill and been rejected for Cotgrave. They're still in for 2 other pits, but I'll know more about Vista this time tomorrow, because we've got them people that's heading Vista coming to council meeting tomorrow to explain their actions and to explain the comments that they've made about Bestwood no longer being part of Vista's plans. And I want some answers to some questions that I've got for them. Now that meeting's going to be tomorrow morning, and as I say, at this time tomorrow I shall know more about it. Right, as you can see, we've got Dennis Bull here. He's the chairman of the Vista UDM venture. So if you'd like to start off by giving a presentation, then we'll open it up for questions and answers.
Right, well, as you know, initially we started off with a plan to submit through the closed colliery programme 4 or 5 of the coal mines. We went through the process. It has been a long and hard struggle, and although we've had to modify our plans as a result of British Coal's agenda, we are totally dedicated to getting Vista UDM off the ground. We're totally dedicated to employing as many men as we can. We have in fact almost now completed all the design and manufacturing drawings for the domestic plant, which we intend to have made in Bestwood, and hopefully can consider talking with British Coal about the possible acquisition of Bestwood as a manufacturing plant. I hope that sort of gives you an outline as to where we are. I'll answer anything that you wish to ask.
In June of last year, Mr. Bull, you stated your intent to buy Bestwood first and foremost. You know, you stated your intent. Again this morning, you stated your intent to buy Bestwood. Now, David said at the meeting we had something like a month ago that there were no intention to buy Bestwood and never has been. Now, what's changed since that date?
I think what I'm saying to you is that the moment we can put these drawings in and start the manufacturing in probably 3 weeks' time on the plant, and then we can put in a second plant, we're in a much stronger position then. So it's only a misunderstanding. It's not a change of direction. Our intention is to get that work into Bestwood, save the jobs, and then in fact to use that as a stepping stone to the final acquisition, if we can, of the factory.
You started off earlier, Dennis, by saying that you've got problems with this woman, Mrs. Bennett at Silver Hill. You never ought to have, because it seems to me that you make it up as you go along. Now, I certainly got involved in it with the Bestwood people, and it's obvious that you've been warned that there were going to be questions about Bestwood this morning, because your emphasis has been all about Bestwood from start to finish.
I don't think so.
What distresses me, in fact disgusts me, is that we've got an attitude portrayed by British Coal at this moment in time, where everybody out there is living in fear of the future, living in fear of the redundancy scheme being finished, living in fear of what's going to happen as far as jobs is concerned. And our organisation has put its name to you, and you're doing exactly the same. Because you've been to Bestwood, and you've told them lads at Bestwood, yes, we're going to take all the workshops, we're going to put a bid in for it and buy it, and you've raised everybody's hope. And we had to find out through an exec meeting when David Pendergast announced that we're no longer interested in Bestwood. You're doing no more than what British Coal are doing at this time, is building people's hopes up and then kicking them in the teeth. And I tell you now, I don't know about this council, but if that's going to carry on, then I don't want no part on it. I'm not going to sit up there and do exactly the same to my own people that we've been fighting British Coal against for years. And that's exactly what you're doing. You're building people's hopes up, not telling them the truth. We haven't even had the decency to go over to Bestwood lads and tell them what the situation is. It has to come out in an exec meeting, which then results in us having to ask you to come here. Now, I believe there are deals been done. I don't know. I'm going to ask the question. Has a deal been done for you to acquire various sites in return for keeping away from Bestwood?
I'll stand up and answer that. Absolutely, under no circumstances has any deal ever been done. Nothing has been contemplated. Nothing has been discussed with the people who we're dealing with on the coal mine sites. And frankly, I take it as a bloody insult that you should suggest that after all the time that I have spent working on this project and going to Bestwood and spending an inordinate amount of time and money getting the drawings done and presenting them to the Bestwood factory to get them designed and get them costed, that you should suggest that we are not in fact doing this on an honest and straightforward basis, that we have continued at all times to go forward honestly and straightforwardly. We've been to Bestwood, we've taken the people to Bestwood to show them the factory, who are important to being able to get this project off the ground. And anybody who suggests to me that I'm wheeling and dealing inside British Coal on the basis of screwing up Bestwood and at the basis of getting a couple of bloody coal mine sites is not in fact treating me with any respect at all. And thank you, gentlemen. I'm going to continue to work on the basis of doing everything I can to acquire the mine sites, to complete the job. I'm going to go forward with the design of the plant. I'm going to go to Bestwood again, as I will be tomorrow, with somebody else who's important, on showing them that this is the place that should make the plant to go on their site.
You know, if you leave this meeting now in that manner, without giving these people the opportunity to question you what you're here to do today, then you won't be going anywhere with the backing of the UDM.
No, I'm not
now,
leaving anywhere. I'm standing up and saying what I am saying. That there is absolutely no question of us, Neil, involving ourselves in any backdoor activity at all.
Why haven't you had the decency then to go and tell the people at Bestwood that you've changed your mind on Bestwood?
I haven't changed my mind on Bestwood. What I'm saying to you on Bestwood is the way to approach Bestwood is to give ourselves some strength in our negotiations. We are in a stronger position to negotiate with British Coal when we in fact put work into British Coal, into Bestwood rather, than if in fact we go cold and say, this is what we want to do, we simply want to buy the factory.
That's a change.
We want to
That's
be
a change,
in a stronger
because you've been intent right from day one. You've always said right from day one.
And we are
that,
continuing to be.
that Bestwood was a major part of
And
Vista.
it is, because
it is
in
not
fact,
no
if
longer.
we- of course it
isn't any longer.
Where are we going to go?
Well,
and
why
build
does
these
one person
plants?
sit at an exec meeting then and say that we're not going for Bestwood no more, and then you come knowing that all the frauds took place and crawl up your backside again and change the way that
I'm
they've done
not
today?
crawling up my backside. What on earth are you saying?
Mr. Chairman, can I make a comment?
Go on then.
Because you're personal. Let's have a bit of room in common sense. The crux of the issue here is, and this is the point I want to make to this council chamber, Bestwood without Vista is finished because of the deterioration within mining and the deterioration in the service that it has. If I've been the nigger in the woodpile about the purchase of Bestwood, well then that's my mistake. As far as I'm concerned, what Vista can do and what it will do is put jobs to Bestwood, full stop. Both with the Lynham plant and with the BX plant, and also it will service the requirements for BMW and other people that go on sites. We're at a point now where it would appear that the sites are within weeks of being purchased through the negotiations that are taking place. Neil's made comments to me, and he's made comments in the last two executives, and he's got something in his bonnet, but don't let that dampen where we are at this moment in time. We're at the very step forward now where we go forward, that a year and a half's work is going to come to fruition. And I don't like to see personalities argue with each other on a platform, particularly in this. Don't personalise it, Neil. No, you've had your fears. Dennis has gone up and said publicly in this council chamber that he's not wheeling and dealing, and I personally believe him. I might be naive at that. But what I can see is there is no other alternative for jobs in this county. I understand the fear that Neil's got, and he's quite right to express it. But don't let's get emotive, for God's sake. Don't let's lose control.
You're bound to get emotive when you attend meetings like I've attended in the last fortnight at Bestwood, where people have been sat there on a wing and a prayer, hoping that Vista is going to take part of Bestwood or take over Bestwood to try and secure the future for them lads there. And then all of a sudden it's dropped out of the blue, nobody knows naught about it. You drop it out at an exec meeting, well, we've never been intent on going for Bestwood. Then you come with a cotton ball story this morning to take the heat out of the situation. Well, we're going to go for it, but when situation prevails in a bit better light. I don't believe a word of it. I don't believe anything that's been said.
When I went to British Coal, and Neil knows this, he thought, as did everybody else, that the coal mines basically could be given away. British Coal haven't approached it in that way at all. They've had their bankers, they've had accountants, they've had surveyor firms and so forth, who valued all those mines on an open property basis. British Coal are not approaching this, doing anybody any favours at all. They're not looking at whether it's going to provide jobs. They want to sell the site for the maximum. That's that.
Neil poo-poos things because they haven't happened like that.
No,
you can't get deals worth mega millions together overnight, Neil. You can't do it. And I'll make another example. There is a deal worth several hundreds of thousands of pounds, possibly millions, that I have introduced to you personally when we went to Dublin. A contact I worked hard for. I took myself over there at my expense to introduce you to a potential market for coal. Now that I make nothing out of. Vista makes nothing out of. Our commitment is to the union. 150% to the union. But we could have done it without you. We could do it without you now if you kick us out, Neil. We don't want to do that. We've made a lot of friends within your organisation, within your industry. We came to this as a result of Dennis having a chat with Roy, and Roy virtually cried on Dennis's shoulder and said, if you can find work for my lads, for Christ's sake, do so, please. Please help my lads. We've continued to do that for a year now. British Coal have held us back and held us back. If I'd known it's going to take a year, I wouldn't be standing here now. we wouldn't have started. But we stuck with it, and we're still there, and we're going to make it work. Now, if you have had some bit of information passed back, we're not interested in Bestwood, I would find it very difficult not to generate into pit language. Because Bestwood, as far as I'm concerned, is the key to it. I didn't say it, though. Well, I'm sorry.
Well, I can't. Determined to take everything out of. I'm talking about jobs for Bestwood.
No, I'm not, David. I want somebody...
You're not going to destroy this, Peter.
Sit down a minute. Sit down a minute.
Do I still have the floor, John?
Yes.
Just a minute.
Well, hang on. Let him finish.
We decided to stick with this through thick and thin. It's cost us a fortune. It's cost me an awful lot more money than I've got. And we are committed to make it work. And we have given our commitment to the union from day one, and it's still there.
Now, you made a telling comment that really dug a little bit deep, that you can do it without us. Well, I suggest go and try it. And without the UDM, I don't think that Vista will go. Now, none of us will know for certain until it's been tested. But if you feel that secure about it, go and test it. And I tell you now, I'll put every block that I can in the way of that taking place without our involvement. And I'm sure that this executive or this council will support me on that. We started off down this path by trying to support and look after our own members. That's what I'm in it for. Not anybody else. Not for Bill, not for Dennis. Although I respect them for the work that they put in for it. We'll still come back to the fact that them lads have been sat out there now for nearly a year on the understanding that somebody's going to take to Bestwood. Now, you say that Bestwood's not up for sale. Every aspect of British Coal is up for sale. Me and him put it to Edgar the other day when we met Edgar, what are you doing about national workshops? He says they're going to be privatised. Not under core privatisation, but you can put a bid in for them beforehand if you want. So we've had to come back and start the ball rolling now to get a consortium together for us to take to Bestwood. And I tell you now, I ain't dropping that, not for nobody.
I'm going to say to all these council people, every one of you, we are committed 100% to you. We are not going to do it without you. If you want us to walk away, you'll have to tell us to walk away, right? And if you want to set up a competitive bid situation, fine. But I am going to go forward because, in fact, Bestwood is a key part of our operation. And if Neil wants to form a consortium and start a bidding war on it, fine, that's fine. But at this moment in time, and it has never been any damn different, we are committed 100%, always have been, to working with you, whether it's 100 jobs or 200 jobs, or whether it takes 3 years to get 1,000 jobs, we are there. If Rufford comes up, we'll be there banging on the door for Rufford. But we're there, and you better know that we're committed to you. And we have been all the time. You might not have met me before, but I'll tell you, I've a certain amount of experience, and we're going forward.
And whether it's confusion, whether it's deliberate, I don't know. People have to make their own minds up on what's been said in here this morning. And I would like to see from this meeting that yourself, Bill included if you wants to, along with me and David, go over to a meeting to meet them Bestwood lads and explain to them exactly what's happened and what's going to be the future for them.
Couldn't be more delighted at the opportunity of doing it.
What David told us was totally different to what you said this morning.
What I said this morning was what I said the last time.
Yeah.
What I told the lads. I've never varied.
And that's what the lads have been basing their
never varied.
feelings on.
Thank you. So you can take it from me, Peter, we've never varied in our
I'm not against Vista, don't get me wrong.
I know that, Peter.
But I'm not prepared to be lied to. I won't accept that from anybody.
I haven't varied, Peter. I don't want to accuse anybody of anything, but we'll open up different lines of communication.
I suggest that we're meeting at Bestwood with the 4 officials.
Okay.
I suggest that.
Okay.
And we know what's happening.
You just let me know when, and I'll be there. Okay. Good luck. Thank you. Thanks very much, Neil. Thanks, David. Thanks, Mick. Oh, we can't get out.
We can. It's the...
Where's Bill?
Every one of them they pulled out on, and all they're doing is talking to British Gold Property about pockets of areas that they want.
I was not aware that Vista were withdrawing
So I'm making a public statement that we're pulling out of them. All right. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well, it's only me and you're doing that, anyway.
Well, I spoke to you.
Thanks. Maggie? I'm doing all right. Fine, thanks. I want a statement going out that the UDM are withdrawing from Vista UDM. I've been informed by British Coal that Vista have withdrawn from all lease and licensing requests that they put in for. They've not notified us of that, and so, as far as we're concerned, it looks like they've decided that they don't want to buy any of the sites any longer. And as far as I'm concerned, if they've not got the, you've got to be careful how you word this, but if they've not got the decency to tell us, then we're going to withdraw from it. We've raised people's hopes in the past on Vista, and it's not looking as if it's going to come to fruition. There's a lot of people hanging on out there waiting to see whether jobs are going to become available through Vista, and sooner than hang them on a hope, I think it's best that we make the statement that it's not going to go ahead, so they can look elsewhere for jobs. The fault is with British Coal, in the sense that they've been extremely awkward in the negotiations that's took place on Vista. But the fact is that with the people that we're involved with on Vista, it looks like they've decided to go their own way without informing the union of the actions that they're taking, and I'm not prepared to put up with that. Okay, that's great. Thanks, Sam. Bye. It never rains but it pours, does it?